him.
I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Schmack-a-mug-up, it's time for the only news that matters. And W.A.S.P frontman Blackie Lawless has revealed how record labels pressure forced the band to part ways with their original drummer Tony Richards. He shared details about the ultimatum they received in an interview with Rock Hard Grease. When asked about the early chemistry between the original W.A.S.P lineup, Lawless reflected on the band's formation and the difficult decision that changed their dynamic. He said, "Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. The secret was the chemistry with the four people, because Tony Richards, our original drummer, was just as important as the other three of us. And we were all really a band." The frontman explained how the loss of Richards affected the band's the visual presentation and Eternal's dynamics. He said, and that's the interesting question, because I'll tell you that if you look at the first album, you see four guys on the front and four guys on the back. When the second album came along, when Tony was gone, you only see me on the cover. And that was a very deliberate decision we made as a band, because when Tony was gone, we felt like we were deeply wounded. Alright, Lawless then revealed the record label's ultimatum that forced the change. He said, "Tony was that important to us. It was capital EMI that really pressured us to find another drummer. And knowing what I know now, I would have fought them harder than I did. I mean, we fought. Chris and I fought real hard to keep Tony, but what happened was they threatened to pull the money from us. They said, if you don't make the change, we're going to do it, you know." And the musician expressed regret about the situation, how the situation was handled. He offered insight into what they would do differently. He said, "Knowing what I know now, I would have taken another drummer with us on tour, just as a safety precaution in case something happens where Tony cannot play. That's how I would have handled it. But when you're a young band, you don't know these things." He concluded by describing the lasting impact on the band's chemistry and subsequent album covers. He said, "So when Tony was gone, like I said, we were seriously wounded and we knew it. And we didn't feel that we had the same chemistry with just the three of us, that we had the four originals. And so we made the decision to put me on the cover for the next two albums, but they really didn't want to work either." Anyway, the revelation sheds new light on the internal struggles that shaped W.A.S.P's early career. It also highlights the external pressures that influenced their lineup decision during a crucial period in their development. Wikipedia documented that W.A.S.P was formed in 1982 in Los Angeles by Blackie, Lawless, Randy Piper, Tony Richards, and Rick Fox. The band quickly built a reputation for their shocking and theatrical live shows. These shows included Lawless tying semi-naked models to a torture rack and throwing raw meat into the audience. Their controversial stage presence became a defining characteristic that set them apart from other metal acts of the area. The band's self-titled debut album was released in August of 1984 through Capitol Records, and it was initially planned to be called Wings Assassin. Noted that the album featured the controversial single Animal Fuck Like a Beast, the single was omitted from the US release to avoid retail bans. This early censorship battle highlighted the ongoing tension between the band's artistic vision and commercial pressure from the label. Before joining W.A.S.P, Tony Richards had been part of the band Dante Fox, and Dante Fox later evolved into Great White. The early W.A.S.P lineup also experienced other changes on bass, like Rick Fox left to join Steeler and was replaced by Don Costa, who eventually left the band as well. These lineup shifts alongside the record label pressure created the turbulent environment that ultimately led to Richards' departure. Capitol Records' involvement proved crucial in securing W.A.S.P's initial record deal. However, it also created the tension that Lawless now describes. Wikipedia confirmed that the band's initial success included tours with major acts like Kiss and Iron Maiden. This further established their presence in the heavy metal scene. However, the label's ultimatum regarding the drummer's change demonstrates how commercial consideration often conflicts with the band's creative and personal relationship during their formative years. All right, there you go. And I got to tell you, man, it shows. When Tony Richards left the band, it shows. It's amazing, this drum sound on that first album. It's heartbreaking, man. This guy was part of this fucking magic that was never recreated. I'm sorry. They have, in my opinion, they've had good albums since. I love Headless Children, but man, this is the album. The first W.A.S.P album I wore out in 1984. When this album was new, I played it to death. And I saw that tour open for Quiet Riot, but Tony Richards was gone by then. But it was still a rip-roaring show, and I saw him the next tour with Kiss on Asylum, and that was Last Command. And I saw him a few times after that, which was the Blackie Lawless band. No Chris Holmes, no nobody, not even Johnny Rod. But yeah, who knows, man? Maybe it is true. Maybe the record company did pressure, because I've heard stories of the guys that worked on that album. I think the producer or somebody in an interview saying that, Tony Richards would nod out a lot during the studio time. He was, or going to the bathroom to shoot up, and he was a junkie, and maybe the record company got wind of that, and they're like, no. But I don't know. Maybe it's not true. I don't know. I can only speculate. But it's a damn shame, because that first W.A.S.P album, man, if they could have repeated an album like that, with Tony Richards, at the end of the day, Blackie fired everybody, though. He fired, after this tour, after the second tour, he fired Randy Piper. Then he fired, I think Steve Riley left to LA Guns. You got Blackie Lawless, and who knows all the other drummers he's had after that, and all the other guitar players and stuff. I don't know. But, hey, I saw him not too long. Well, it's been a while. And it was good. It was a good show. He sounded great. Always been the Blackie Lawless show. Ever since the first time I saw them, really. Because after that first album, man, like he said, he was on all the album covers. And Chris Holmes didn't like that. I heard him say that in countless interviews. He didn't like that shit. Blackie just took over, So I don't think it was a band decision going, hey, Blackie, why don't you just appear in the cover? We'll be on the back cover, I don't know about all that jazz. But whatever, man. What do you all think? Leave it in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching The Only News That Matters. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Ring that little notification bell and like the video. It's good for the YouTube algorithms. So stay frosty. Listen to that first W.A.S.P album and smack 'em a gob.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston, and so nevermore shall we see you again.